Kayla, Preston, welcome to Winning the Home Game. Really great for you to take time out because I know you're super busy all the time, but thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Julie. Really happy
Won-
to be here.
Wonderful. I look back and we have been working together since March of 2022. So just post COVID.
Over
Yeah,
4 years now.
yeah, 4 years. And I think what makes you special and unique is that your clients absolutely adore you. You get them into a home quickly, or you sell their home quickly, going through the timelines and the numbers. It's just, they're just all happy. And is that true? Like, is it perfect every time?
I would love to say it's perfect every time. It's perfect most times.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because agents on my team or agents who might help me with a showing here and there,
Hmm.
they always say, Kayla, you have the best clients.
Yeah,
And I'm like, I do have the best
you
clients.
do.
I think
Yeah.
that attraction of that
Oh my
energy is really
gosh.
important in this
Right.
business and many businesses. So I'm very fortunate
I
to be
believe
doing
that
what I do.
100% because you're very upbeat, you're positive, you're infectious. So I think you're attracting those kind of clients. I love that.
Thank
That's
you.
great.
Thank you, Julie.
All right. Okay, great. So for listeners, hearing about you for the first time, tell us a little bit about you and how you actually got into real estate.
Okay. It was an accident.
Love it.
I got into real estate completely by accident. I'm sure you've talked to many agents, as have I, that have
Mhm.
had a dream of being in real estate or, they did some big career change to get into real estate. Not I. It was just absolutely accidental. So I graduated from Seattle University in 2009. Not the best time to graduate college.
Yeah,
Huge housing crisis,
right.
massive market crashes, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of layoffs. Um, Even as a great student with wonderful extracurriculars, it was very difficult to get a job in the field that I originally intended, which
Hmm.
was public relations. But at the time when I was in college, I was managing a few salons, and one of my clients came in one day. I'd been working with this woman for years, and she knew I had just graduated. She said, Kayla, have you ever thought about property management? And I'm 20, 21 at the time. She said,
Sweet.
what's that? What's property management? So she tells me a little bit, and then it was kind of off to the races. So,
Mm,
got into property management as a fresh college graduate,
wow.
and at that point was learning about finances and rent rolls
Mhm.
and marketing and all the things that go into managing a large rental building in the
Wow.
Seattle area. Was fortunate enough to do that for a couple of years. Had another client of mine when I was in property management who worked for Zillow.
Mm,
And then that client had then told me a little bit about Zillow, and again, this was 2010 at this point.
wow.
Zillow was really a startup,
Right.
and I then moved on to go work at Zillow, selling advertising, but really training agents on how to better
Mm,
service their clients.
wow. Interesting.
So that was really fun because I'm talking to tens of thousands of agents across the country
Mhm.
and learning what works for them, what doesn't work for them, but really coaching them
Right.
as to how to be a better agent, how to speak to your clients in a way that is going to be asking questions and
Mm,
getting to the root of what they want. And at the same time, I'm sponging in all of
right.
this information. I'm not competition to them.
Right.
I'm their advertising sales agent.
That's right.
And so that was a really special part of my growth into becoming an agent is
Right.
talking to all of these other
Right.
agents. Um, from there, again, went back into kind of the property management realm, but working for a large real estate investment firm called Invitation Homes. So this was coming out of the recession a bit that we're starting to get into that recovery zone, but still 2013, 2014. So homes are still very inexpensive to buy. And their goal was to purchase as many homes as possible.
Hmm.
And instead of flip them in a traditional sense of, hey, we're going to rehab this property and sell it, their goal was to keep them as a large portfolio.
Mm,
So my job there was helping from acquisition through rehabbing homes, kind of managing that whole scope,
hmm.
and then having a portfolio. I think I ended with about 3,600 homes under my
Wow.
belt at that
My
time.
goodness. And there were intentions to rent those out?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, got
So
it.
they were renting them out.
Hmm.
Um, and then by that point, Julie, I kind of came to a point in my life where I wanted a little bit more freedom.
Hmm.
I didn't necessarily want to be in an office, a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday job. I wanted
Right.
um, to also kind of explore my own possibilities of what can I do as a
Hmm.
business owner. And I thought, hey, being a real estate agent with
Hmm.
this amount of background that I already have is really the next move for me.
Hmm.
And there's a few different outcomes that could come from that.
Right.
Right. The first is I could hate it. I could not like this job, right? It can be very time consuming.
Yeah.
The clients dictate our schedule. It really is 7 days a week.
Yes.
Even though most folks might not think that it's a
Right.
7 day a week job. I could really hate this. And then what
Mhm.
do? I'm going to go find something else. I could be bad at this. I could be bad
Mhm.
at this job. I could be bad as a real estate agent. There hasn't been a job that I had previously where I failed so miserably at that I needed to
Mhm.
start from scratch.
Right.
And then the third outcome was that I was going to love it and have it be my career for the rest of my
Right.
working years. So, fortunately
Is that where
enough,
you're at?
it ended up in that third
Yeah.
category of being what I do. So that's been since 2014.
And what a perfect foundation, like, knowing how to take care of your client. And on top of that, the property management experience. You're basically a project manager, right? Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Oh,
thank you.
now I understand where you're coming from. Okay, good. So you've sat on almost every side of real estate, property management. We talked about Zillow, training agents, corporate investment, all that. And now brokering for individual buyers. When a first-time buyer in Seattle sits down with you, what's the biggest misconception they walk in with that you have to address right away?
Well, Julie, honestly, it's on the lending side. It's on the lending
Really?
side, and I'm sure
Awesome.
you hear this all the time. But oftentimes,
Mhm.
my clients are contacting me before they're talking to a lender
Yep.
like yourself.
There's a stat actually, it's 93% of the time.
Yeah,
Yep.
and that
Mhm.
tracks because the exciting part
Right.
in most buyers' eyes
Yeah.
is looking at the homes online. They're looking at
Yep.
Zillow or Redfin or whatever the site is, and then they're reaching out to an agent because they see a house that they're
Right.
interested in, or they're wanting to get some more information, right? Um, And that said, when I have a consultation with them, usually the biggest misconception is that they need 20% down to buy. Still
Yeah.
in this day and age,
Right.
there's all this information out there that
Right.
you don't need 20%. But I have folks come to me, they say, "Hey, Kayla, we think that we're a year or 2 years out, or we're 6 months out. We're this far out because we don't have 20%.
Mhm.
We don't have 20% down." Okay, well, hard stop right there
Right.
because it's not necessary to have
Right.
20% down.
Right.
And that's why having those consultations is so
Mhm.
important because it's a big education piece. And,
Right.
obviously you as a lender, you know that there's so many options. They could be
Oh my
0% down or
goodness.
5 or 3.5,
Right.
and there's down payment assistance. There's
Right.
all these different things out there. And oftentimes it's, hey, let's set up that conversation with
Mhm.
a lender because if we're waiting for that 20% down, and that's going to take you another year or two to build,
Mhm.
we don't want them to be in this constant state of catch up, right? Where
Right.
homes are still appreciating,
Right.
and the interest rates might go up. And then it's this constant race to always be
Mhm.
catching the 20%, but never quite getting there or
Right.
it taking too long. So I think that that's the biggest misconception
Uh,
that buyers have walking in.
yes, and actually the average down payment amount is 9%. So even more than half of that.
Yeah.
So that's great. Well, I love that, that you're setting it straight right away. That's awesome. The Seattle market has gone through so many shifts. Recession, recovery, boom. What has staying in this market through all of it taught you because you've started since what year?
Well,
Probably,
as a real estate
yeah,
agent, 2014, but
2014.
even in real estate
Yeah,
and property management, all of that since
long time.
2009. Yeah.
Right. What has all of that taught you about the right time for a first-time buyer to make their move?
The right time is the right time. There
Mm.
is no timing the market.
Yeah, what does that mean? The right time is the right time.
Yeah, when your needs meet, how do I say this? um, when the need is that you are buying or selling a house,
Mm.
it, there's no sense of I need to do it when the market is at its lowest or when the interest rates are
Mm.
at its lowest. Our lives are changing.
Right.
We might have a growing family. We might have uh, an empty nest situation. Our needs are what our needs are, regardless of what is actually
Mhm.
happening in the market.
Right.
So, again, there's no timing the market. There's no perfect time. The perfect time is when it's right for you.
Right.
And again, sometimes that conversation with my clients is if they're just moving to the Seattle area and they say, Kayla, we're really interested in buying a home. And through some discovery questions, I might find out that they're due for another work transfer in 2 years.
Oh,
Well, then maybe that's not the right time. Maybe
right.
buying a home in Seattle is not for them. But we're going to talk through all those pros and cons.
Right.
So, yeah, ultimately I think it's just when the needs are
Mhm.
there
Right.
that you want to buy or you want to
Right.
sell or you need to buy or you need to sell,
Right.
then we're going to make sure that we're prepared for
Right.
whatever the market is happening at that time to make that happen.
So it's really an individual decision. It's
Absolutely.
always different. When you walk into a property with a buyer, what are the things you point out that signal this home has real long-time value? the details that go beyond what they see in the listing photos, those famous listing photos.
Oh, listing photos. It is so funny. I love walking into a house with a buyer, and there's two ends of the spectrum. One is, wow, these photos didn't do the home justice, or wow, this home looks nothing like the photos. But it's a good starting point, of course, right? Things that we're looking at outside of just the photos um, might be walkability.
Mm,
Uh, homes that have a high walkability range. Hey, we can walk to the grocery store or a cafe. Those are homes that typically appreciate in value, maybe at a higher rate than something that's a 45-minute walk to
mhm,
something that's near. What's the walkability? What is the density? What's the zoning like? Is there
mm,
opportunity in the future to build a detached accessory dwelling unit, for example? Not even that the buyer might be interested in that, but when it comes time to resell,
right.
that could be something that adds a lot of value. Also, major systems and fixtures, right? Major plumbing, sewer repairs, roofs,
Wow.
things that could be a really hefty expense.
Mhm,
We want to know in advance, have these things been done? Or if not, when are they due to be replaced? Because
right,
again, this comes back to resale. I always try to put myself in the position of I'm helping you buy your home,
right,
but you could also be coming back to me in 5, 7, 10 years to
right,
sell your home when your situation changes.
right.
So I want to make sure to set you up for success and set myself up for
Yeah.
success when that time comes. But I think, Julie, the other really important thing I want to touch on with that question is not just about identifying the good things or,
Mhm,
hey, what's great about this home, but also the bad things,
right.
right? A big part of my job is evaluating, making sure to set my clients up for success. So I want to make sure to point out if there's things that I see that uh, uh, are not good in the home.
Mhm,
Again, maybe it's that roof that needs to be replaced, or hey, maybe I know that there's a development that's going to be going in
mm,
right next door
right,
that's going to change the value of your home
right,
for the better or for the worse.
right.
So I think that's another really important thing that I want
Mhm.
to touch on when I'm touring my buyers as well.
Has that happened to you before where there's all of a sudden a development?
Of course,
Mm.
especially, I lived in Belltown, downtown Seattle for 13 years, right? Had a lot of downtown condo buyers.
Oh, wow.
And so many of them would say, Kayla, I love this view. Is this view protected or will I lose
Mhm,
my view? And having been a Belltown resident for 13 years, I
mhm.
would always say, my view changes every day. And maybe that's the ferry that's passing,
Yeah,
or maybe there's a building that goes in 2 blocks away.
wow.
So I always want to make sure to assess
Mhm,
are there any developments planned?
mhm,
And this is all information that
right.
myself or the buyer can look up on the planning and development website. Um, there's very there's very few actual protected views in
Mm,
downtown Seattle.
interesting.
And so again, I really make sure to educate my clients on,
Right.
hey, we're really buying this for what you have now.
Mhm.
What does the home give to you? What's the location give to you? And we love a view as long as we have
I love that. That's amazing. How is the condo market doing right now in downtown Seattle? What do you think about that?
Oh, it's tough. It's
Mhm.
it's tough, and it's sad. I don't like hearing that or saying that.
Yeah.
I still have a couple residents in Belltown as well, and it's really hard for me to have seen that it after 2020 and when everyone wanted to move out of the city and all of these businesses started shutting down, that the recovery is taking a very, very
Very
long
long.
time to come
Mhm.
back.
Right.
Um, and it is happening
It's happening?
slowly but
Okay.
surely.
Okay.
There is just such a plethora of
Mhm.
inventory
Mm,
because so many people wanted to move out of the city during the pandemic.
right.
Um, what was important to people shifted, and I think that shift
Mhm.
expands past the pandemic, right?
Right.
People realized, hey, I
Right.
want more property, more land, more quiet, more peace.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that it's going to take businesses reopening.
Mhm.
I think that um, tech layoffs are a big fear, especially in Seattle.
Mhm.
And the recovery is gonna take several more years. I
Really?
really do feel that way.
So do you feel like this is a time to actually buy if you're gonna have long-term goals? Like, "Hey, I'm gonna be here 5 to 10 years."
Absolutely.
Okay, that's
This
good.
is the time to buy a condo.
Okay.
If you are thinking long term,
Mhm.
whether it's for, owner occupied or investment property,
Mhm.
this is the time to buy a condo.
I love that.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Okay, we're at the home stretch segment now. What's one thing you wish your clients knew or understood before making an offer?
Oh, okay. That's a great question,
Yeah.
Julie. One thing that I think is really important for clients to know is putting themselves in a seller's shoes. If they're making an offer on a
Mm,
property, a lot of buyers I work with think, well, I might have the most money. I might be able to make the strongest offer in price. But what most folks don't realize is that sellers are trying to mitigate risk.
Mm,
The money is a big part, but most sellers want the cleanest, most risk-free contract that they can
mm,
find. And sometimes that means actually taking a lower offer
mm.
than what's the highest price because they want the least risk possible associated with that. But I think that that's important for buyers to know is
Right.
put themselves in a seller's shoes.
Right.
They want a sure thing.
Right. I love that. That's perfect. Okay, with something a little personal here. What's one money tip you live by these days?
Yeah, that's a great question. Never spend more than you make.
Mm,
Invest the rest and be patient. Be
that's
patient,
good.
right? Even from a lending perspective, it's just funny because I have clients that say, yeah, I got approved for 1.3,
Hmm.
but my budget is 900K.
Right.
I've never had a client come to me and say, hey, I want to go to my max, my max amount that I'm pre-approved
Right.
for,
Yep.
right? Because we have other things that are important to us in life.
Right.
We want to travel. We want to go out to dinner. We want to go to shows. We want to spend time with our family and our friends.
Hmm.
And oftentimes that means that we need to have something set aside.
Right.
And we're also setting aside uh, financially for our future.
Right.
We don't want to just be paying into our house and that's the
Hmm.
only thing that we have,
Right.
because life is so much more than that. It's a big part of it,
Right.
of course, but making sure to not go beyond your means,
Hmm.
investing, even if that's
Hmm.
starting at a small point.
Right.
Some people might say, oh, well, I only have $10,000. Well, $10,000 is a good chunk of
It's a
change.
lot of money.
There's
Mhm.
never too little of an amount
Right.
to start investing for your future.
Agreed. I love that. And then as far as, I see the maximum that a client can get approved for. And most of our clients, we don't have, people may not believe this, but according to lending, we don't really have an affordability problem here in Seattle.
Mhm.
Most people are buying well under what they qualify for.
Yeah.
So we're pretty lucky that, to live in this area where people are making a lot of money,
Yeah.
which is great, right? But most of them are definitely buying under that.
Yeah.
For sure. What areas or neighborhoods are you most excited about that you think first-time buyers should pay attention to? I love this.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Light rail expansion.
Okay.
Light rail expansion. I mean, it has been announced for years,
Mhm.
and it is still occurring. So, West Seattle, Ballard, yes. Oh, has been hot for many
Yes.
years, but again, I'm thinking light rail expansion.
Mhm.
Everett, Tacoma,
Oh,
where light rails come,
okay.
or easy public transit, right? It's not just about the community that you live in, but also the accessibility
Mm,
into downtown Seattle,
right.
or accessibility in general to be able to get places without using your vehicle.
Mhm.
Uh, there could be, between 5 and 20% very quick appreciation for those neighborhoods that are within a quarter mile or half a mile
Wow.
of a light rail stop.
Okay.
And so knowing that those are coming in the next 10 years,
Mhm.
those are areas that I would look out for.
So it's about 10 years from now, all those areas right around there?
They're on a timeline.
Okay.
They're on a track, but
Mhm.
yes, within about 10 years.
I love that. That
Mhm.
makes sense. All right. First-time buyers often don't know what they don't know, right?
True.
How do you make sure your clients feel educated and informed at every stage of the process so nothing catches them off guard? I mean, that's kind of hard, but
Yeah.
yes. How do you
It's
do
real
that?
estate. Things happen.
Yeah.
I come from a perspective of wanting to be very proactive versus reactive,
Mm,
right? So number one, every client that I'm working with, we are having a consultation.
mhm.
That consultation might be at a house that we're looking at, or it likely is over Zoom or over coffee at my office. But we are having a consultation of what to expect. And that consultation also is, what are their needs? So we're talking at length about what their needs are. And then based off of those needs, because that market might look different. If they say, Kayla, I'm looking for a 1-bedroom condo in Belltown versus a 3-bedroom single family home in Seattle proper, the expectations are going to change based off of what the market is.
Mm,
So we're going to go into depth of what the process looks like from start to finish, even from our first meeting, advising them speaking to a lender,
mhm,
the home buying process, the shopping process, the contract process,
mhm.
and everything in between. So that is upfront. We are having that
That's
conversation.
great.
I also know, even though those meetings are usually about 45 minutes, not everyone's going to remember the
Right.
30 touch points that we
Yes.
have in that meeting.
Mm.
So making sure when we start the actual process to always let them know what's coming next so that no
love
one
that.
feels like they're flailing or
I
lost.
love that. That's so, so important. In fact, a lot of our templates say the bottom, what's next? And under that is what's next. Because people, they need to be led. This is the biggest decision, they've ever made at that point, right? So I love that you do that on your side too.
We do this every day,
Yeah.
Julie,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
They do it once.
Once. Well, right. Exactly. And people forget when they come back
Yeah.
after 5 years too, which is normal.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be. All right. You were diagnosed with an extremely rare cancer at the age of 22, so young. And you've shared that the experience taught you to say yes to opportunities. I love that. And live life to the fullest. Now, how has that perspective shaped the way you approach your work and show up every day for your clients?
Yeah, thank you. It's hard to answer this because there's so many things I could say here.
Mhm.
And I think that coming from curiosity is very important. Not everything, you can't judge a book by its cover. I think that people look at me now and they would never in a million years have thought that I've gone through cancer or
No.
had cancer for 15 plus years at this point. And I try to make sure to treat everyone that same way. I want to hear their story. I want to understand what's important to them and why it's important.
Right.
Especially in real estate, there's so much out there that makes our job appear always very glamorous. There's all the shows on Netflix and all the other
Yes.
channels that just show multi-million-dollar homes and beautiful outfits and luxury vehicles. And that is not reality. That's reality TV.
Right.
Okay. So yes, we have exciting moments. Yes, we have exciting first-time homebuyers. They're buying their dream home. They're expecting their first child. We also have times where there's been a loss of a parent, a loss of a spouse, a loss of a child, a loss of a job. And understanding the why of what people are doing in real estate is, I think, very, very important to this role.
That's amazing. I love that. And I love what you said about, saying yes to opportunity, because I just started doing that 2 years ago. I'm way older than you, but that's amazing. It's a blessing,
It
right?
is a blessing. It's
Such
an
a blessing.
absolute
Yeah.
blessing. It's very odd because this has been, I've been faced with a huge piece of adversity.
Right.
And it's given me this opportunity to completely change how I live my life. And it's
Yeah.
never too late. You
Yeah.
said you just started doing it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It is never too late.
Yeah.
Because
right.
this opportunity of saying yes and wanting to live life this way,
Mhm.
some people may never get that.
That's right.
Or they'll get it when they're
Right.
and when it's too late, when it
Right.
is truly too late.
Yes.
And I got it at a very young age.
Yes.
So
That's amazing.
it's afforded me a true gift.
I love it. All right. What qualities should a first-time buyer look for when choosing the right agent to represent them, especially in a market like Seattle?
Trustworthiness is absolutely number one.
Mhm.
You have to be working with someone that you trust, that you are taking value from. Again, not just what's on reality TV. We're not just professional door openers,
Mhm.
right? There's a lot that
Right.
goes into this. And I think that having someone who is well ingrained in the market,
Mhm.
our market can change by the day, by the week.
Right.
And so working with someone who does this full time,
Right.
very, very often, knows all the contract changes, know those micro shifts in the market that can impact what's going on for the client.
Mhm.
That is so, so important. I think that also working with someone who has a good relationship with other agents in this community is
Oh.
important. I'm very fortunate to have done the volume that I have and have the connections that I have with other agents in our community.
Right.
I always think of myself as the agent that agents
Right.
want to work with.
Yeah.
And
that's right.
I love working with those agents that I've worked with before
Yeah.
or building new relationships.
Right.
And there is a big piece of that that's important. I think the clients
Mhm.
don't see that.
I don't. Right.
But it is a really important piece of
Right.
this industry.
Right. Really important for sure. I witnessed that on the phone call. Oh, I love this person. This person's great. I'm so glad I got the offer with their name on it. Like, that's very important. I love that. All right. When a buyer finds a home they love, what does a strong, well-prepared offer look like beyond just the price? So kind of tagging on from the earlier question.
Sure. And again, Julie, like this is going to be so specific to the exact property,
Okay.
right? If we are speaking in a multiple offer, in a competitive offer
Mhm.
situation. So let's just play that out.
Mhm.
That's going to look different than if the home's been on the market
Right.
30, 45, 60 plus days,
Right.
right? In that competitive market situation, price is important. And we're going to be looking at other contingencies that may want to be included or excluded.
Okay.
So first of all, before any of my clients make an offer, I am pulling the data, pulling the comparable sales. I want them to look at because the appraisal is a big portion of a
Yes.
finance buyer. And in a very competitive situation, often in Seattle proper, at least that might mean waiving all the contingencies, including appraisal.
Mhm.
And I will never want a client to do something that's outside of their personal financial scope.
Mhm.
We're going to talk at length about what's possible, what's feasible, and make sure to set them up for success, whatever that looks like for them. But looking at comparable sales to try to make sure, I'm not an appraiser, but we want to look at what appraisers are going to be looking at.
Right.
Looking at those home sales, supporting the value that the buyer is willing to pay.
Mhm.
If we can't support that value, then me and
Mhm.
my client are going to have a longer conversation of what that looks like.
Right.
But a winning offer could look like waiving a financing contingency and waiving an appraisal contingency. That's why being fully underwritten from
Mhm.
the loan, as you know, is
Mhm.
a very, very important
Crucial.
piece of this. Adding an escalation clause. So kind of like eBay for houses, I love an escalation clause,
Nice.
right? Because it's not putting someone at their absolute max.
That's right. They'll never really overpay.
Right.
Mhm.
They're only paying a little bit more than what someone else is willing to
Right.
pay. And being able to see that competing offer, it
Right.
gives that warm fuzzy feeling like, yes,
Yes.
I won, and there
Yes.
was someone else willing to pay that same amount.
Mhm.
Quick close.
Mhm.
I think that, again, another big misconception is, 30 to 45 day close
Right.
is standard. In a competitive offer situation, that's too long.
Right.
Most sellers are looking for a 2 to 3 week close.
Right.
So those are some of the
Mhm.
really important factors outside of
Right.
price
Right.
that can impact
Right.
an offer.
And right now in our current market, there are some homes sitting, not the perfect homes. Those
Yeah.
are going with multiple offers. But if you had a client where the home has been sitting there for 30 to 60 days, how would you approach that?
In a similar fashion,
Okay.
we're going to be looking at comparables.
Mhm.
We want to look at comparables because the listing price that's marketing strategy.
Mhm.
That's not necessarily the home's value, right? So we're looking at comparables to try to justify where do we think the value of this home
Mhm.
is. And again, when we've been on the market for a little while,
Mhm.
now we have a little bit more leverage. Okay. Now it's what contingencies are we including? Making
Right.
sure that we're very, very protective because if you're the only offer versus one of 10, the strategy is going to look really different.
Really different.
So including appraisal, including financing, inspection, maybe a lower earnest money, maybe
Mhm.
a little bit longer close, maybe that 30 to 45 day close.
Right.
But those are the things that could look really different if it's been on the market
Right.
for a little while.
Love that. Thank you. New construction is a big conversation in the Pacific Northwest right now. For a first-time buyer deciding between new construction and an existing home, what are the things they should be weighing?
Again, this is so personal. This is
Mhm.
very,
Yeah.
very individual
Mhm.
choices. I will say it's really interesting, Julie, because when I have my consultation with clients,
Mhm.
there's two buckets. It's either I want new construction only or I want resale only.
How often does that happen?
Almost every client,
Really?
almost every
Okay.
client will have a hard opinion on one or the other.
Interesting.
It's very rare, at least for me.
I don't see that side, so yes.
It's very rare
Mhm.
that I come across someone who says, "Yes, I'm open to either."
Mm.
And again, this is just that personal choice. Some folks really want that character,
Mhm.
some charm, something that's been lived in already, and something that they can envision their own projects in their own style.
Mhm.
Whereas with new construction, that can be an easy button.
Right.
That's everything is brand new. It's just been done. It's perfect. I have a guaranteed builder warranty. And so again, I think that lifestyle and individual choice
Mhm.
comes into play here, whether it's new construction or resale.
Right. I love that. Perfect. And what I see on our side is property taxes are a little bit higher because they have not been assessed yet.
Yeah.
So they're just guessing with the millage rate from the title company. But I always tell clients that, it's higher in the beginning. It might go down, it might go up, but that's a little bit, could be unsettling for people too.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. All right. Here we go. If you could give one piece of advice to a first-time home buyer, what would that one piece be above all any other pieces?
It's never too early to start. It really isn't. We are here to provide a service of education.
Yeah.
I'm not here to sell a house.
Mhm.
I am here to help you come up with the right decisions. And sometimes that means, hey, we're meeting 2 years in advance, 3 years in advance. Julie, I've had so many clients that we might have met years ago
Mhm.
and we had a great consultation and the timing wasn't right. And then all of a sudden it is.
Mm.
And so I think that setting someone up for success, helping them answer the questions that are going to be important to them for when the time is right. Or maybe it's how do we get you on a track of saving
Right.
to be able to come up with the down payment that you personally need to make your monthly figures make sense?
Yeah.
Or is there any big changes that you expect in your life
Right.
coming up? It is never too early to start having these conversations, and I'm always happy to do it. Sometimes I have clients that come to me and say, Kayla, so sorry, I don't want to take up your time. We know we're really
Isn't
far
that
out. It's
sweet?
too early. I'm like, take up my time.
Yeah.
This is my job and I'm happy to do it.
Right.
So never too early to start.
I love that. I believe that too. That's wonderful. All right, Kayla, thank you so much. You have been such a joy.
Thank you,
And so
Julie.
I'm so, can you be my agent? You're so good.
Thank you.
Thank you again. And so for people to find you, where would we find you? What's
Sure.
your Instagram handle?
Kayla J. Preston on
Okay.
Instagram. You can find me there. Send me a follow, send me a DM.
Okay.
Also find me on everydoorrealestate.com. Kayla
Okay.
Preston.
Okay.
So feel free to
What's
reach
the
out.
J stand for?
Joy.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I love that.
That's my middle name.
Oh my God. Look at how fitting is that? I love it. Thanks again.
Thank you.